Hi. I have no idea how to start this video. I'm writing a book. It's a good place to start. I'm writing a book. It's called No Way. And way is spelled W-E-I-G-H because I don't care what anyone says, I am punny. And I come up with very punny titles for things. It's called No Way, 14 Reasons Why Doctors Shouldn't Prescribe Weight Loss. And I'm sure there are more than 14 reasons. It's just these are the 14 reasons I came up with. And I came up with 14 reasons because I Googled it at some stage and asked how many chapters should I put in my book. And they said 14. So I just did that. There's probably more than 14 reasons, but 14 is enough to start with, don't you think? We can always add more. We could do a second book. Another 14 reasons. But for now, there are 14 reasons why I think doctors shouldn't prescribe weight loss. And of course, I'm not just saying that because, you know, it's not just my opinion. I've done a lot of research into this. I've got lots and lots of references and studies and evidence that I want to share with people. But I know that not everybody geeks out about the evidence. So I'm trying to make it, a mixture of both. Evidence-based, but not like the kind of book that you don't want to pick up and read because it's too much. So I'm trying to get the tone right. And whilst I'm doing that, I figure, why am I waiting? Why am I waiting to share this information with you? Like I want this information to be accessible to everybody, especially if you're new and you don't know me very well. Which, by the way, hi, I'm Asha. I am a fat doctor. I am a doctor who is fat, not a doctor of fat. I'm a fat doctor. I'm the fat doctor, actually, the fat doctor. Yeah, that's right. That's how you'll find me on socials anyway, at the fat doctor. I have a website, fatdoctor.co.uk. I mean, what can I say? I am the fat doctor. And so I am both fat as a person and I am a doctor. I've been a doctor for 20 years. I've been a fatter for longer, but, you know, let's say roughly the same amount of time. And over the last few years, I have realised that a lot of what we're told about our bodies when it comes to our weight, about our health when it comes to our weight, is absolute utter bullshit. That's just lies, lies and more lies. And that's very frustrating. That's really frustrating. And what's even more frustrating or upsetting is that as a doctor, I was one of the people who was perpetuating those lies for 2 decades. 2 decades. That's a lot. And so I can't possibly be doing that anymore now that I know the truth. So I'm here to share the truth with you all. And that's what I'm going to be doing in this series of videos. As I said, I came up with 14 reasons. So as it stands now, I'm thinking 1 video per reason. But I'm going to try and limit these videos to between 10 and 15 minutes. So we might find that it's way more than 14 videos by the end of it. But as I'm writing my book, I'm going to be sharing all the stuff that's going in my book with you. And you might be thinking, why would I want to buy your book if you've already shared all that stuff with YouTube? And you know what? That's cool. I don't mind. You don't have to. I'm going to write the book anyway. So it's all going to be out here in the open for anyone to see. If you're new to me and don't know much about this stuff, then I'm hoping this will be a really good, grounding, a good start, a good place to start when you're on a journey to discovering what weight-inclusive healthcare looks like. Weight-inclusive healthcare is healthcare that does not talk about weight, does not focus on weight. Weight isn't mentioned and weight loss is never prescribed. And you might think, what kind of healthcare is that? Well, by the end of these videos, I hope you'll realise that it is the right kind of healthcare. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the very beginning. I'm not going to sing in these videos. That's how to get trolled. Right, reason number 1 is my favourite reason. We're unshrinkable, people. We as human beings are unshrinkable. That's the end of it. I don't care what you say, the evidence is clear. And we know this. You know this already. How do you know this? Because every time you go on a diet, you start off strong. The pounds practically melt away to begin with, right? Sometimes it's harder than other times. Sometimes it's not so easy. Sometimes it's really easy. But the pounds start dropping. People start noticing. Oh my goodness, they notice. They say your body has changed shape. You fit into those jeans that you didn't fit into once upon a time. You start wearing jeans, which, in of itself is a sign, especially if they don't have an elasticated waist. That in of itself is a sign that you're losing weight. And people are noticing and you're feeling good and you're feeling great. You're feeling on top of the world because you're such a good person. and you're so capable, and you're so amazing. And isn't this good for your health? Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this great? And then something happens. It can happen at any point in time, but it's often around the 3-month mark. Maybe it's earlier, maybe it's later. Suddenly everything slows down. And that's not as fun. People stop noticing and people stop caring. And you keep getting on the scales and it's not shifting. And so you started off strong, but now it's slowing down, and that's a very frustrating part. But we are all strong and we are all determined. So we don't give up. No, we persevere. That's why not giving up that easily. We persevere. And we persevere until we hit a point. There is a point, and there's a different point for everybody. We will hit a point when we're like, the body's like, nope, no more. We're not. That's it. We're done. And then what happens? What happens after that? Slowly the weight creeps back on. I used to call it weight regain. I don't call it weight regain anymore. I call it weight restoration. And I call it restoration because this is a cycle that exists for a reason. And I call it the weight loss cycle, right? It's a cycle. In the beginning, we lose weight. In the middle, we slow down. Then we hit the peak, the nadir. We'll call that like 6 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, you know what I'm talking about. And then we slowly restore the weight until we get back to 12 o'clock. What's really interesting is actually studies have found that up to 2/3 of people will end up end up heavier than when they first started. So it actually goes beyond 12 o'clock. You actually end up gaining even more weight. That's part of the weight loss cycle. But let me explain to you why this happens, first of all. It happens because your body has not evolved to lose weight. Weight loss is a very serious issue. The body knows it. Now, your body can handle a little bit of fluctuations in weight because that's normal. Fluctuations in weight are commonplace and have been for hundreds of thousands of years as we've evolved. Significant amounts of weight loss are different, especially when we're restricting. Because not only are we losing weight, but we're also reducing the amount of energy that we're consuming. So the body thinks that we're starving. Literally. Body's like, uh-oh, we're starving. And it's okay for a day. It's okay for a week. And even for the first few weeks, the body's like, I'm going to, don't worry. I know this is bad, but I'm here for you, friend. I'm here for you. I'm gonna make this okay. Which is why as we begin to lose weight, things are good. And oftentimes, if we do take measurements, we'll notice our blood pressure will come down and our A1C will be restored and all this stuff will happen. And people are like, woo, it's amazing. It's a miracle. It's not. It's the body is simply trying to cope with what it considers one of the biggest crises it has ever come across, encountered. This is no joke for your body. It really isn't. Sustained periods of starvation. It's telling you, go and get some food. Go and get some food. Go and get some food. Which is why the food noise gets louder and louder and louder the longer you are restricting. Because your body is literally screaming at you. You need to eat. It's panicking. It's stressed. And it comes to a point where it's like, no. This is no good anymore. We've got to do stuff. We've got to do something here to prevent us from losing all of this energy. Like we've got to act. And the body it acts quite quickly to begin with, and it gets more serious and more serious. The first thing it will do is it will drop your resting metabolic rate. And that is basically how fast speed, right? How fast you are converting glucose into energy. So our body requires a certain amount of energy to do life, living, breathing, heart beating, etc., kidneys functioning. And so if you're not consuming enough energy in order to get that done, so there's an energy deficit, your body's like, I know what we'll do. We'll slow this rate down. So we'll try and conserve as much energy as possible. It also changes all sorts of other things. And I'll go into it in more detail. And I'm looking at the time. It's going to be in the next video because we're not going to get it done in one go. So suffice it to say, there comes a point in time when your body's just like, we cannot do this anymore. And that tends to be when you hit your peak. And usually by the time you've hit your peak, you will do whatever it takes please don't have broken. Something went wrong with my video there for a moment. I hope that didn't. We're 10 minutes in. I think it's okay. So I lost my train of thought. I was so into it as well. Your body will say enough is enough. Just enough is enough. And there is that inner critic, I think, in all of us when we hit the plateau, and definitely when we hit the peak, and then when we start to restore weight, that's just like, it's all your fault. You quit. You shouldn't have quit. You shouldn't have given up. You should have kept going. You shouldn't have eaten that food. You shouldn't have done, you should have done some more exercise. Like constantly yapping at us. And then it doesn't help that there are other people in our lives who are yapping at us also. Colleagues, co-workers, family members, and God, the doctors and the nurses. They're all telling us it's your fault. If you had just persevered, if you just kept at it, you would have kept losing weight. But that's not true. There isn't a study out there that shows that. The body eventually just says enough is enough. And the best way to do that is to tell you to stop what you're doing. And you'll collapse for the most part. Literally like exhaustion will set in. And also you will be so fixated on food, you will not think about anything else. That's all you'll be able to think about is food, because your body is desperate. It's in crisis mode. So it's not a case of you're weak and you don't have enough willpower and all this nonsense. You're lazy. It's just the body's natural weight loss cycle. We are designed not to lose weight. Our body has not we're talking hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. It doesn't understand the carnivore diet. It doesn't get paleo. It's not like, Weight Watchers is not a thing. There's nothing to do with evolution. And yes, our lives have changed very much so over the last 200 years especially, and evolution will not catch up for another few 100,000 years, folks. So yes, our current lifestyles are not necessarily ideal when it comes to what our body is used to doing. Let's put it that way. The way that our body bodies, not necessarily conducive to this lifestyle. And that being said, we are living longer than we ever have before. We are safer than we've ever been before. We are living so long that I reckon within a couple more generations, 100 won't be unusual. We'll get to live a century. That's what's happened. So even though our lifestyles may not be so conducive to what we were doing when we were, what was it? People go on about paleo. They always go, when we basically were cavemen, when we were living. Is it the Bronze Age? Who knows? Whatever the paleo fanatics go on about. Yeah, we're not the same as that. Our lifestyle has changed. But as a result, we're living much longer. We're not dying from sepsis and stuff like that. So I digress. The whole eat less and exercise thing, exercise more, doesn't work. And by the way, neither do weight loss injections or weight loss surgery. We'll get into those later on. These are, I think that's reason 8 or something. I don't know. But it's not number 1. But for now, all you need to know is weight loss is unsustainable. And this was an introduction video, clearly, because I have so much more to say. And so catch me in the next one, where I talk about why weight loss is unsustainable.